Prepare to delve into the dark side of Greek mythology. Tartarus, the abyss where even the gods themselves felt fear. You might think you already know everything about punishments in the underworld and the order of the gods on Olympus. But what if I told you there exists a territory so terrifying, so beyond control, that not even Zeus dares to cross its borders? Strong word? Definitely. But therein lies the truth few know. Tartarus is not just a prison. It is the final frontier between chaos and order, the place that threatens all that is divine and immortal. Forget the prefabricated concept of hell. Here, vigilantes also tremble. Will you brave the discovery of the secret that still challenges scholars, shatters religious paradigms, and could change your perspective on fear, power, and destiny? In the wake of primordial chaos, Tartarus emerges, like someone silently arriving at a feast where nothing yet existed but emptiness. His colossal presence needed no introduction or announcement. Hesiod tells us that before anything took shape, he was already there, brother of space and time, along with Gaia, Erebus, Nyx, and Eros. Imagine it as that invisible force that, even unseen, sustains the entire scene. Not exactly someone or something that was born, but an inevitable existence, Tartarus, as essential as the original chaos itself. Tartarus does not belong to the lineage of known parents, for it simply happens. He is an autonomous force, older than any genealogy could record. It would be as if someone came into the world already knowing everything. Tartarus, carrying within himself both the burden of being a cursed place and the privilege of being a living entity. A paradox worthy only of those who inhabit the darkest corners of mythology. Therefore, when we speak of Tartarus, we speak of an abyss, of depths where time slows down and everything seems possible or impossible. Between these chasms and the fertile earth, rumors abound of a bond between Tartarus and Gaia, the mother of all that grows. In less widespread versions of the myth, Tartarus is said to have given birth to Typhon, a creature so monstrous that he makes human fears seem like child's playthings. This gives Tartarus an even more mysterious dimension, for from its union with Gaia arises the unpredictable, and thus the question remains: what else might emerge when the abyss gazes back? If we consider how these ancestors shape later stories, it's impossible not to be curious to discover what happens when other forces mix with this primordial cauldron. Tartarus, in its multifaceted existence, soon ceases to be merely a rumor from the beginning of time and becomes the scene of the fiercest disputes in mythology. When the dust of the Titanomachy settles, Zeus and his allies do not hesitate. It is to Tartarus that the gigantic titans go, condemned to an eternity of oblivion and torment. It's as if the abyss were tailor-made to shelter the vanquished, transforming itself not only into a presence, but also into a prison. Imagine the doors closing and the echo of the Titan's screams piercing the depths, all happening within that entity whose name alone evokes the idea of eternal punishment. The safety of the abyss could not be left to chance. Enter a team that borders on the surreal, the Hecatonchires, children of Uranus and Gaia, each with 100 hands, a force impossible to ignore. They become the guardians of the gates of Tartarus at the behest of Zeus. These beings, half forgotten by many, are the guarantee that nothing escapes, not even a particle of hope. Their countless hands function as a living wall between the imprisoned chaos and the world of the living. Cosmic balance depends on this intractable limit, and Tartarus ends up serving, paradoxically, not only fear, but the order that keeps the universe functioning. But Tartarus is not content to be merely the prison of defeated gods. As mythology evolves, its role grows. It also becomes the final destination of mortals who defy the divine, of the arrogant, of transgressors. Sisyphus, condemned to eternally push a boulder. Tantalus, perpetually thirsty and hungry before the unattainable. Ixion, chained to a spinning wheel. All find in Tartarus the setting for their endless punishments. The abyss resonates with stories of punishment, and, once again, shows that the limits imposed by the deities are simultaneously necessary and terrifying. And it's curious to note how, despite all of Tartarus's power, its existence remains in constant tension with other forces and possible destinies within mythology itself. Where will this intersection lead it when new ancient forces enter the scene? When it comes to alliances and rivalries, Tartarus stands apart from all other mythical figures. Unlike the gods and heroes always involved in plots, pacts, and betrayals, the primordial abyss remains a neutral force, impartial, almost indifferent to the fate of others. He takes no sides, forms no armies, plots nothing. His rivalry is symbolic, appearing only as the inevitable end for those who defy the order of Olympus. It's as if Tartarus waits patiently while gods fight above. He's the backdrop, where the defeated, whether titans, gods, or humans, inevitably end up. Even impartial, Tartarus is not entirely isolated. There is indeed a deep connection with Gaia, the earth goddess, the only relationship worthy of note in these fragmented stories. From this unlikely union, abyss and fertility, destruction and creation, is born Typhon, the most monstrous of all giants. Typhon represents a force no god would wish to face, and, ironically, is the product of the encounter between the unexplored Tartarus and the pulsating life of Gaia. Not only a son, but a living threat to Olympus itself, capable of shaking even the throne of Zeus. These relationships, rare as they may be, serve to demonstrate that in mythology, even the most impersonal of abysses can ally itself, even momentarily, with the creative power. The result is always unexpected, and makes us wonder, how far does the influence of a primordial being extend? What else might emerge if this abyss, by chance, decided to act of its own volition? In early Greek mythology, Tartarus was seen primarily as a place, a deep abyss farther away than Hades itself. It was the final destination of the Titans defeated by Zeus, a place reserved for those who posed a threat to the divine order. In this early phase, Tartarus functioned merely as a frightening setting, devoid of any trace of personality or will of its own. Its existence was limited by its function, to be a prison for the greatest transgressors of the universe. It was, therefore, a static and impersonal element in Greek cosmogony. As myths developed, however, Tartarus began to be increasingly treated as an entity, acquiring traces of consciousness. Gradually, its description went beyond that of a simple abyss, and it began to be represented with its own characteristics, almost as a primordial being. Thus, a kind of personification emerged. Tartarus ceases to be merely a geographic space and begins to occupy a place among the active forces of the universe. This shift is present in both classical narratives and later philosophical and allegorical interpretations. This process reinforces Tartarus's central role in maintaining cosmic balance. Tartarus's function also expanded over time. While its original purpose was simply to house the god's enemies, it gradually became a symbol of moral punishment. In the classical period, Tartarus became the stage of eternal suffering for mortals and gods who defied universal norms, such as Sisyphus, Tantalus, and Ixion. Thus, the concept of punishment transcended physical boundaries and encompassed ethical and spiritual values. Thus, Tartarus reflects not only the fear of divine punishment, but also the Greek concern with justice and the afterlife. Tartarus occupies a central place in Greek mythology, establishing the definitive boundary between the Olympian deities and the forces of chaos. After the imprisonment of the Titans, it becomes a symbol of final punishment and universal balance, reinforcing the authority of the gods and the order imposed by Zeus. Its presence ensures that great transgressors suffer punishment, becoming a symbol of the insurmountable limit within the cosmos. Alongside Erebus and Hades, Tartarus forms the tripod of the Greek underworld, each with its own meaning and function. Its mythological legacy is that of guardian of balance in the face of primordial chaos. Tartarus's influence extends beyond Greek mythology, reaching later cultures and Western religions, fueling images of hell and eternal punishment. Elements such as endless suffering and the unattainable distance of the deities reappear in conceptions of the underworld in Roman and Christian religions, as well as in various philosophical traditions. The concept of Tartarus inspires poets, writers, and thinkers to create symbolic universes of justice and atonement. In this sense, the abyss ceases to be merely a mythological space and becomes an archetype of supreme punishment. Its representation spans the centuries as an inexhaustible source of metaphors and analogies. Several myths, in addition to the famous episode of the Titans, reinforce the importance of Tartarus as a stage of atonement and trial. Tragically famous figures such as Sisyphus, Tantalus, and Ixion have their eternal sufferings associated with Tartarus, serving as an example and warning to mortals and immortals alike. Heroes like Orpheus and Hercules also cross or face challenges related to this abyss, demonstrating its centrality in classical narratives. Thus, Tartarus remains alive in the Greek imagination, playing a central role in stories of limits, redemption, or perdition. It is, therefore, both the setting and the symbol of the ultimate consequences of actions, whether of mortals or gods. Tartarus appears in Greek literature in the Archaic period, specifically in the poems of Hesiod around the 8th century BC. In this context, mythology still seeks to give meaning to the origin of the world, explaining the existence and interaction of primordial forces. Tartarus appears as one of the first elements of the cosmos, alongside Gaia and Eros, representing the deepest and most distant abyss of creation. Its inclusion in this scenario highlights the need for limits to the original chaos and the organization of the universe into layers. Thus, Tartarus is a key figure in the structuring of Greek mythological thought. Beyond its narrative function, Tartarus plays a powerful symbolic role in the minds of the ancient Greeks. It embodies the collective fear of unknown abysses, unexplored depths, and hidden dangers beneath the earth. More than just a physical place, it represents the insurmountable boundary between the order established by the gods and the threatening forces of primordial chaos. Tartarus functions as both a barrier and a prison, serving as the final destination for beings considered a threat to cosmic stability. This symbolism echoes accounts of catastrophes and natural elements feared by ancient society. The setting of Tartarus reveals much about the anxieties, beliefs, and limitations of knowledge at that time. In the absence of rational explanations about the subterranean realm, mythology serves to organize the fear and imagination of the Greek people. In this way, Tartarus echoes both existential questions and symbolic responses to what could not be controlled or understood. Its permanence in myths highlights the importance of the imaginary and the need to delimit the unknown. Thus, Tartarus, more than a place, appears as a reflection of the very process of cultural construction of the ancient Greek world. So, what did you think of this journey through the mysteries of Tartarus, the abyss where even the gods hesitate to tread? This saga has barely begun, and each episode brings new revelations and surprising insights into the underworld, the fate of mortals and immortals, and the true role of this place in mythological narratives. Did you already know any of these curiosities, or were you surprised by what you discovered today? Comment below with your impressions and what you'd like to see in the next chapters. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss the finale of this series and continue exploring the most hidden legends of mythology. That way, you'll always be up to date with the most fascinating and mysterious aspects of this incredible universe.